unexpected news, the death of our Pope, of our Holy Father. Just thinking about this for the last several hours, I realized just how deeply he's affected my life. Just the fact that I'm here and not in some parish in Dallas. Because I was minding my own business back in December of 2015, I got a call to be the auxiliary bishop of Dallas. And so I just said, if that's what the Holy Father wants, I guess that's what I'll do. And then again in December of 2024, I got another call on December 15th at 1:07. Those kind of things stick in your mind. And telling me that the Holy Father wanted me to be the Bishop of Thailand. I said, well, that's what the Holy Father wants, that's what I'll do. And so I'm very grateful to him for those calls to these ministries. Also, just by his thinking, one of the images that has stood out for me so much is the image of him all by himself in a dark, wet St. Peter's Square on March 27th, 2020, during the pandemic. And that reflection, very brief, is worth going back and looking at it again, because he reflects on the story of Jesus asleep in the boat in the middle of the storm. And his disciples are frightened, they welcome him. And Pope Francis notes in passing that even while he was asleep, that he was in the lowest part of the boat, the part that sinks first. So in every moment, even while he was asleep, he was between his disciples and death. And that Pope Francis noted that this taught us that we're all in the same boat. And we forget this because of our pursuits of other things, because of money or whatever it could be. But we're all in the same boat. All are important, all are needed. So many of his gestures, and they were not simply idle gestures, they revealed the substance of his life. The very first thing he did was to go to the island of Lampedusa, his first journey. And his staff tried to talk him out of it, now is not a good time, and so they got a call back from the Italian Airways saying that we got a call from somebody named Jorge Bergoglio looking for tickets on a flight to Lampedusa. So then they realized he was serious. And he went there because so many immigrants were coming across the Mediterranean fleeing violence and terrible poverty and dying there. And throughout his papacy, he was always looking for those who were discarded, those whose dignity was not being upheld. Whether that was the unborn, the immigrant, the sick, the ill, the prisoners. On Holy Thursday every year he went to a prison to wash the feet of prisoners, some of whom were not even Catholic. On World Youth Day in Rio de Janeiro several years ago, he went wandering off into one of the slums away from the security detail because he wanted to be close to them. He even chose at the very beginning of his papacy to live in the Casa Santa Marta, not up in the papal apartments high above, because he wanted to be close to people, to be in community with people. None of these were empty gestures. They all spoke out the substance of his life. He wanted each of us to know ourselves as brothers and sisters. One of his encyclical letters was called Fratelli Tutti, brothers and sisters all, that we have an obligation to each other, especially to those who are discarded by the side of the road, dead or abandoned. As Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene and the other Mary on the morning of the resurrection, he appears to them, he reveals himself to them, he consoles them, and then he sends them. He sends them to the disciples to go to Galilee, and there I will meet them. And when he meets them in Galilee, he sends them out to the world. Pope Francis also wanted us to be a church that went out, not simply open the doors and welcome people in, but to go out to everyone. Because we have a message for everyone. The mercy of the Lord Jesus is for everyone. And he often spoke of himself as an object of that mercy, a recipient of that mercy. That he said himself, I am a sinner. I've made many mistakes. I am also in need of God's mercy. And we're all in the same boat. And to see ourselves always in the same boat, to look at one another always, first of all as a brother or a sister. Some right way we look at them, we begin to divide people away. But Francis wanted us to see ourselves as Fratelli Tutti, brothers and sisters all. so we celebrate this Holy Mass on Easter Sunday morning, which is really the feast of Easter. Because Easter is it's such an important feast, such a full feast, that it spreads out over 8 days. Ancient baptismal fonts often were 8-sided. This is the new creation, perfecting the old creation made in 7 days. And so we celebrate this in a great way. We ask that the Lord, that he may now meet Easter Lord, who came to seek him, revealed himself to him all through his life, and now calls him home. That he may come to see the Lord face to face, with his own eyes, to know the fullness of the joy of the risen life, to which the Lord seeks to reveal to him, but also to each one of us. Because each one of us, as Pope Francis said so often, are important and needy. Important and needy. Nobody's discarded. Nobody's extra. Each one a precious child of God. Let us ask the Lord to give us more deeply that vision, to see our brothers and sisters, whether they are black, white, brown, immigrant, illegal, whatever the category could be, that we kind of box up people and put them away. But to see ourselves also as people who go out and meet other people with the mercy and love of Christ, and be instruments and signs of that for